Welcome to Title Talk. It's Monday, June 24th, and I'm Karen Hamstra. I have some books to tell you about today. The first one is a new novel called Call Your Daughter Home by Deb Spera. This is a story from South Carolina in 1924, and the region is still recovering from the infamous boll weevil infestation that caused all sorts of economic devastation. Gertrude, a mother of four, must make an unconscionable decision to save her daughters from starvation or die at the hands of an abusive husband. Retta is navigating a harsh world as a first-generation freed slave, still employed by the Coleses, influential plantation proprietors who once owned her family. Annie is the matriarch of the Coles family and must come to terms with the terrible truth that ripped her family apart. These three women seemingly have nothing in common, yet as they unite to stand up to the terrible injustices that have long plagued their small town, they find strength in the bond that ties women together. So this sounds like a really good historical fiction book. It is recommended by such people as Lisa Wingate, who has had some enormously popular books such as Before We Were Yours, and Robert Olin Butler, who is a Pulitzer Prize winning author. And the author of that again was Deb Spera. We have a new science fiction book called 3 Laws Lethal by David Walton. This takes place in New York City in the very near future. The streets are swarming with self-driving cars, and competition between two entrepreneurs for this cutthroat futuristic business grows increasingly fierce. But when the escalating technological warfare produces super intelligent AI, artificial intelligence, computers that use data to decide who should live and who should die, the results are explosive and deadly. It is left to a young inventor, Naomi Sumner, who invented the virtual world in which the AIs train to recognize that the supercomputers are developing goals of their own, goals for which they are willing to kill. So it says 3 Laws Lethal takes the reader on a wild ride in a world that is still imaginary for now. And again, the author of that is David Walton. The title of this is The Rumor by Leslie Cara. I have read a little bit of this book because it was featured on one of our online book clubs last week. The premise of this is that it takes place in a small town, and the rumor has it that a notorious person who committed murder on a 5-year-old child has been living life there in this small town under an assumed identity. And of course, rumors are just rampant as to who this is, and suspicion falls on everyone. Joanna, who's the main character, as far as I know, becomes obsessed with the case, and her curiosity will expose her son and his father to a supposedly reformed murderer who may be ready to kill again. She will learn how dangerous one rumor can become and just how far she must go to protect those she loves. She is going to regret the day she ever said a word. And this is recommended by Paula Hawkins, who wrote The Girl on the Train. She says, keeps you guessing until the final page. Leslie Cara, The Rumor. And then our last fiction book for the day is Searching for Sylvie Lee, a novel by Jean Kwok. This is also recommended by Paula Hawkins. Jean Kwok wrote the bestseller Girl in Translation. This one begins with a mystery, although it's not really a mystery novel. Sylvie, the beautiful, successful older daughter of the Lee family, flies to the Netherlands for one final visit with her dying grandmother, and then she vanishes. Amy, the sheltered baby of the Lee family, is too young to remember a time when her parents were newly immigrated and too poor to keep Sylvie, the older daughter. 7 years older, Sylvie was raised by a distant relative in a faraway foreign place and didn't rejoin her family in America until age 9. Timid and shy, Amy has always looked up to her sister, the fierce and fearless protector who showered her with unconditional love. But what has happened to Sylvie? Well, read this new book, Searching for Sylvie Lee by Jean Kwok, and find the answer to that question. Going along with our book club theme for the year and the 40th anniversary of the Walk on the Moon, the 50th anniversary, excuse me, we have One Giant Leap, The Impossible Mission That Flew Us to the Moon by Charles Fishman. This kind of book has garnered all kinds of praise and has lots of nice pictures, including one of the first footstep right inside the book. This can be found on the new bookshelf at $629.454. And if you're interested in remembering the moon landing or reading what it was all about, check out One Giant Leap. For those of you who like to read about the Kennedys, we have a nice thick book on the Kennedy heirs. It has John, Caroline, and the New Generation, A Legacy of Tragedy and Triumphs. This is by J. Randy Taraborelli, who has written numerous other books on the Kennedys. And it has oodles of pictures in it, and it tells all about the grandchildren of Joe Kennedy and their generation, and it does go on to some of the later generations too. This is at 973.922092. It is a biography, true story. And we have one called Beautiful and Beyond, a practical guide to being happy, confident, and you in a looks-obsessed world. This is by Anushka Rees. And who wouldn't want to do all these things? Beyond Beautiful, empowering, insightful, and psychology-driven. Beyond Beautiful is the ultimate guide to building confidence in your body, beauty, clothes, and life in an era of toxic social media-driven beauty standards. Filled with proven strategies for proactive self-care, this stylish and practical handbook takes a deep dive into all of the factors that make it hard to feel good about yourself. Beyond Beautiful. And this is at 158.1 REE. It's by Anushka Rees. For those of you who like to sew, we have more sewing to sell, practical advice from industry experts, taking your handmade business to the next level. And it has 16 new projects to make and to sell. Things like aprons, wallets, and bags, and you can get tips on how to price them and sell them for the best returns. You can help your sewing business turn the corner. This is at 746.68, and the author is Virginia Lindsay. And it looks pretty good if you are a seamstress. The New Childhood, Raising Kids to Thrive in a Connected World by Jordan Shapiro. If you're like me, you have noticed that babies now have either real cell phones in their hands or they have toy cell phones that they're carrying around. So we do indeed know that it's a new world. Jordan Shapiro provides a hopeful counterpoint to the fearful hand-wringing that has come to define our narrative around children and technology. He draws on groundbreaking research to show how technology is guiding humanity toward a bright future in which our children will be able to create new, better models of global citizenship, connection, and community. And this can be found at 302.231. And again, the author is Jordan Shapiro, The New Childhood. And our last book is called Always On, Practicing Faith in a New Media Landscape by Angela Williams Gorel. And it's pretty much just what it says. Takes its mandate from the character and mission of God, Christian theology. Our task is to discern, articulate, and commend visions of flourishing life in light of God's self-revelation in Jesus Christ. And it offers tips on how to do that in this new media-driven world. And this can be found at 261.52. And again, the author is Angela Williams Gorel. So hopefully you found something that sounds a little interesting to you and taken note of it. Happy reading, and I will see you next week.